Generative AI tools are booming in 2023, but how can these game-changing technologies affect your individual language learning journey? As someone living in Japan and with nearly 10 years of Japanese study under my belt, I am going to put ChatGPT to the test to design a study plan for beginner learners of Japanese, test its ability as a language buddy, and give you my verdict on whether you should ditch traditional study methods for the AI alternative. So you want to learn Japanese, but you have no idea where to start. With the multitudes of beginner textbooks and random phrases from TikToks that you don't really understand. So let's see if ChatGPT can lead us towards the right first steps. This is a pretty standard general prompt. I wanted to give it a time frame just to have a little bit of structure, but let's see what happens. Here's the output. So learning Japanese can be a rewarding journey. All right, cool. So first, laying the foundation, getting some hiragana and katakana. That's basic writing and reading. And fine, sure. Expanding your skills in the second month and then developing fluency in the third month. So starting to learn kanji. You might even be able to learn kanji a little earlier, in my opinion, but okay, fine. This here is actually quite ambitious. Move on to reading more complex materials. You're definitely not going to be able to do that in your third month of Japanese learning, but I do appreciate the optimism, I guess. And other than that, I think this is all quite general language learning advice. I don't think it's specifically tailored to Japanese that much. So let's try to get a little bit more specific in our next prompt. I would like to learn Japanese as a total beginner. Design a 3-month study plan for me to learn the fundamentals of Japanese and include online resources of study materials on relevant topics. In addition, create 2 example daily study plans for if I have either 1 hour to study per day or 4 hours. Already we're seeing a lot more detail, so it's splitting it into 2-week chunks now. First month going over the basics, learning hiragana, katakana, and it is mentioning some helpful resources, and I can attest that these are actually useful things, like the Tofugu's hiragana and katakana guides, Japanese Pod 101, Duolingo for basic phrases. The Genki textbook is a classic. I would recommend it as well. I haven't heard of this one, but it might be worth checking out as well. And then, okay, building language skills in the second one. So starting to learn a bit more grammar, how to conjugate verbs, use adjectives, sentence structures. These are all, solid things to start thinking about in your 5th and 6th weeks. Weeks 7 and 8, so introduce some basic kanji characters. Yeah, I think that would probably make sense. Resources like Wani Kani and Remembering the Kanji by James Hasig. So these are both solid recommendations. I do like this as well. It suggests using children's books written with hiragana, katakana, basic kanji characters. That's actually a good recommendation. Month 3. Again, I think it is quite ambitious. Reading short articles at this stage. Maybe if it's, really basic, that's fine. Now, I asked it for 2 study plans, so it actually forgets to mention studying new vocabulary. It just mentions that in the review portion. And this is actually 70 minutes instead of 60, so a little bit of a miss there, but let's look at the 4-hour study plan. Okay, so it basically follows the same idea as the one above, just with expanded time limits. And again, this actually is 5 hours and 20 minutes, not 4 hours. So ChatGPT can't really count well, so please just take this with a grain of salt, but overall pretty decent. Now, all of us have different objectives and goals when it comes to learning a different language. Let's see how this works for a specific case. I am a business professional working at an American company, and I am taking a business trip to Japan in 3 weeks. I have no prior Japanese knowledge, but would like to learn the basics before my trip. What are the things I should learn, including relevant basic phrases and business etiquette to impress my Japanese clients? Give me a detailed study plan, including resources with links to accomplish these objectives. So there's a lot more detail in the prompt, and let's see how much detail is in the plan. All right, so here it's giving us our study plan for the next 3 weeks. First, we're gonna learn the basics, and I like how it just gives you the phrases right here that you're gonna need to know first. That's all good. Introducing yourself, nice. Essential business vocabulary. So I don't think you would say kikai no koji on your first business trip to Japan, but okay, fine. These are actually, all three of them are very useful phrases to know. And then business etiquette. So meishi, so the exchange of business cards. That is actually very important to know. And ojigi, so bowing to people. That's also a good thing to understand before you go to Japan. All right. Unfortunately, I checked these two links and they're both broken. So I think they're pointing to pages that don't exist anymore. But maybe if you search on Google, you can find these. They could be decent resources. Week 2 is about improving communication skills. So yeah, these all sound pretty decent. And practice listening, business-related dialogues and speeches. Okay. All right, sure. Okay, we finally found one that's not broken. All right. So there's a lot of broken links, unfortunately, but overall, I think ChatGPT is able to give a pretty good overview of what to cover, and you can, of course, give more details to customize it to your unique situation and your needs and the topics that you would like to learn. Overall, I think this is a good tool to use when designing your personal study plan. One of the hardest parts about learning Japanese, unless you live here, is finding opportunities to use it. So since ChatGPT is able to understand and output natural language at a pretty high level, let's see if it's worthwhile trying to use it as a conversation buddy in Japanese. I am a beginner studying Japanese and would like to practice reading and writing skills. Will you be my conversation partner for practice? All right, so let's see how it responds. Absolutely. Okay, so very cheery. And please feel free to provide me some reading or writing exercises, and I'll try my best to help. Okay, so not exactly what we were looking for. So let's be a little bit more specific in our prompt. So I only know hiragana, katakana, and very basic kanji. And we can even be more specific and say first grade level. So talk to me in Japanese like I am a 6-year-old. Use short phrases that I can respond to and continue a natural conversation with in Japanese. Okay, so let's see if it'll actually start talking to us in Japanese now. So basically it says, let's continue a conversation with easy phrases that a beginner could understand. And I think it wants us to, start a conversation with one of these. So let's just give it a shot. 今日は何をしましたか? Okay, so sure. 私は今日日本語を勉強しています。日本語の勉強はどのように進んでいますか? 何を勉強していますか? もしご質問や練習したい内容がありましたら遠慮なくおっしゃってください。一緒に頑張りましょう. So at this point it's using sonkeigo or highly respectful language. And this is not how you would talk to a 6-year-old in Japanese, that's for sure. And also the kanji that's used, like ennyo, is a bit difficult. So I don't think you would know that if you're a beginner. Let's just try one more phrase from this up here. So, こんにちは、元気ですか? こんにちは、私は元気です。ありがとうございます。あなたは元気ですか? 今日はどのようなことをしていますか? Okay, so this is fine. 学校に行って友達と遊びました. Okay, so it's asking about how my classes were and what did I do with my friends. I also like playing with my friends at school. It's a good memory. 授業はつまらなかったので昼寝してしまいました. Okay, so this is actually pretty funny. It's too bad that class was boring. But taking a nap is a good way to refresh yourself. Are you feeling refreshed now? And then it basically offers to give advice about, the contents of the class or study methods. So, okay, interesting. So as you can see, it's not the smoothest experience to use as a conversation partner, and Obviously, this is not going to be replacing, talking to an actual human being in Japanese to practice. It seems like the overall sequence of prompts might also be quite important when you're getting it to have conversations with you as well. Okay, so what's my final verdict here? We saw that there's quite a bit of potential here when it comes to using ChatGPT to design your custom study plan. Of course, you'll still need to put in hours of study and practice to get to any sort of fluency level, but I think this does open up a lot of doors and reduce friction when it comes to designing a study plan that works for you. As for using it for conversation practice, I think there is a lot of room for improvement in that regard. I think with the right prompts, you could get started with it. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there working on AI language buddy tools. So we'll be seeing a lot more of that in the months to come. Thanks for watching, and please consider subscribing if you would like to see more videos about Japan, language learning, or AI tools. Peace.